So going to 419, superatomics. So let's just take a peek before we do it. So he's calling them superatomics. And the fact is that these are all unstable. And when they're generated, they last, like here we have 103 Lawrencium. The most stable isotope is 11 hours, you see? And then it becomes other things. It just doesn't stick around. We can look at plutonium, which is only 2 stops above uranium. Look at that. They're radioactive, they're not stable. Where do we get plutonium from? It's an artificial element. See, so these things above 92, where if we ask the same question of anything below 92, like let's go 1 stop below 92. This guy, it's protactinium. So 231 protactinium lasts for 3,000 years.
When they talk about isotopes in my generally it's still recognizable as the element in particular, but it's minus a few electrons or plus a few electrons,
Or neutrons.
or
I
in
think
some cases neutrons.
neutrons are more important because minus electrons will be ionized.
Ionized. Okay.
See, but if you go into the body here, like tungsten, it's almost a silly question. When you ask, is there stable tungsten? I mean, all tungsten is stable. See, this lasts billions of years. So this is interesting because in the conventional sense, you hear about things like carbon, and you don't think of them as actually lasting. And that's why Fuller's so focused on their energetic and dynamic and constantly intercreating what he calls a pattern integrity. So you ask the same question of carbon, which we're made of, and it's very low on the table.
The carbon thing and the isotope is the basis for carbon dating, right? You can measure the amount of the isotope and say, aha, since of that decay length, we can estimate when this carbon-based thing was actually alive or created or whatever.
Bucky's going to now talk about the 92 self-regenerative. We just spent some time deepening our understanding of that. Those subsequently isolated chemical elements beyond the 92 prime self-regenerative chemical elements constitute superatomics. They are the non-self-regenerative chemical elements of negative universe. Now he's throwing in here an idea of negative universe, and he's going to explain it. This is a important exercise in how Fuller thinks. And one reason why I read Synergetics is because I learn how to think the way Fuller does. And what he's going to do, as Kurt said, the beginnings of this table were sketched out by Mendeleev. And then we filled in all these gaps. And it came kind of randomly. Once we got to here, it came in order 93, 94, 95, 96, 97. This intrigues Fuller, and he's going to give a very unique Fullerian view of that. Negative universe is the complementary but invisible universe. To demonstrate negative universe, we take one rubber glove with an external green surface and an internal red surface. This comes up regularly. Fuller was very interested in that gloves reverse one another, and there's a figure in Synergetics that shows it. On the green surface, the outside that you see, a series of 92 numbers is patterned. And on the red surface, a continuance of 93, 94 through 184, with number 184 at the inside end of the pinky, each of the inner surface numbers being the inner pole of the outer pole point number positionings. So he's now going to walk you through it with words, and if you hold your hand, we just kind of count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you could fill in on your hand 92 numbers without much difficulty. It's not so important how you do it. And then you turn the glove inside out and you continue to double that. And he's going to say that now in words. The positions of the numbers on the inside correspond to the positions of the numbers on the outside. The numbering starts with the position of the 5 fingernails, then their successive first joints, then the successive second joints from the tips. So you've got 5, 10, 15, 20 numbers accommodated by the digits being your fingers. The other 62 members are arranged in 4 rows of 12, each around the back and front of the palm of the hand, and there's a final row of 14 at the terminal edge of the glove opening, and that's 92. Now, as I told you, you can play with these numbers, you can get it straight, but he's not so keen on how you do it. What he's keen on is that you've done 92 numbers on your hand. Now we can see why the 92 numbers on the outside were discoverable in a random manner, requiring very little physical effort. It was just a matter of which part of your glove hand you happen to be looking at. Going back to the table, just to make sure that this is clear, because we're about to hit the main idea. Mendeleev And this so-called hand, this positive universe, looking at our universe, he said, oh, we know there's something called oxygen. We know there's something called carbon. And we know there's something called silicon. And these are kind of similar. And I've now made these columns, and there are holes in these columns, and you can find the missing pieces. And we did go ahead and find, oh, we found niobium and molybdenum and rhenium, all kinds of things you don't hear of every day, because they took some discovery and they were kind of randomly filled in. Uh, and over the period of 100 years, 150 years, we got filled in all the way to 92. But if we become curious about what may be on the inside of the glove, we discover that the glove is powerfully resilient. It takes a great deal of power to turn it up to roll back the open edge, and it takes increasing amounts of power to cope with the increasing thickness of the rubber that rolls up as the glove opens. The elements from 93 on are revealed progressively by the numbers. And so he's doing a metaphor that when you go to 93 and 94, why does it take so much energy? And why does it disappear? It's kind of a negative universe. It's a universe that you create. It's a universe in our poetic example that you're rolling up a glove that's very difficult to roll up. And so you roll it up in order. And that's the crux of what he's saying. Uh, Paragraph 3. The discovery of the first 92 self-regenerative chemical elements was not by the numbers starting with 1, but in a completely random sequence. In the superatomics, beyond uranium, number 92, the split-second lived chemical elements have been discovered in a succession that corresponds to their atomic number. For example, the 94th discovery had the atomic weight of 94, the 100th discovery was atomic weight 100, and so on. And there is a figure here, and this is a beloved figure of Fuller's. It came early in his career, where he mapped when were the elements discovered. So here he shows that back in 1780, if I'm reading that right, we already had these carbon, lead, tin, these 9, and then the chart continues and out into this late 1700s. Then we found these, and notice this batch is random because these have all kinds of different atomic numbers. But these kind of come in order of atomic number, don't they? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And we get all the way up to 92 in looks like 1800s. We filled into the 92, and then we get to the non-self-regeneratives, which he's calling negative universe. This orderly revelation is in fundamental contrast to the discoveries of the 92 self-regenerative elements and their naturally self-regeneratively occurring isotopes. The discovery of the post-uranium elements has involved the employment of successively greater magnitudes of energy concentration and focusing. As each of the superatomic transuranium elements was isolatingly discovered, it disintegrated within split seconds. The orderliness of the succession of the discovery of superatomics corresponds to the rate of increase of the magnitudes of energy necessary to bring them into split-second identifiability before they revert to their inside, ergo invisible to outside, position. Number 5, each layer of a finite system has both an interior concave associability potential and an exterior convex associability potential. And here he's going to now take it home to the vector equilibrium. Let's hope we can follow it. Hence, the outer layer of a vector equilibrium patterned atom system always has an additional full number unemployed associability count. In the example cited above, 418.3, an additional 92 was added to the 146 as the sum of the number of spheres in the first 3 shells. The total is 238, the number of nucleons in uranium, whose atomic weight is 238. 4 of the nucleons on the surface of one of the square faces of the vector equilibrium's closest packed aggregation of nucleons may be separated out without impairing the structural stability integrity of the balance of the aggregate. This leaves a residue of 236 nucleons, which is the fissionable state of uranium, which must go on chain reacting due to its asymmetry. So here he stated in the other reading we had, the 2 was the poles, 2 poles. In this reading, he talks about 4 nucleons on the surface of the square of the vector equilibrium. And frankly, I'm not sure